Hello, everyone, and welcome into the show, the American Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Beedee. This is the inaugural episode, very first episode of the podcast, episode 1. It is February 20th, 2020. And we're going to release these episodes every Thursday, once a week, every Thursday. The frequency of them may increase in the future, but as of right now, we're going to do them once a week. Every Thursday, I'll drop a new episode for you to tune into. I hope it's entertaining for you. I hope you get something out of it as much as I get something out of it. We're going to cover a lot of things. We're going to cover some local sports. We're going to cover baseball. We're going to cover Tiger baseball. We're going to cover Cajuns baseball. We're going to cover Major League Baseball, the Astros, the Braves. We're going to cover some basketball. We're going to talk about Cajuns basketball, Tigers basketball, some Pelicans basketball, football. We're going to cover some Saints football. We're going to cover, Tiger football, Cajun football, anything you can think about the Tiger Cajun program in regards to sports, softball. We're going to cover it. So let's jump right into it. We're going to start off by covering and talking about some Cajuns baseball. I think it goes without saying that this past weekend for Ragin Cajuns baseball program was bigger than baseball, no matter the outcome of the games. Honoring the late Tony Robichaux and the type of person that he was, not just the coach, but the type of person that he was, the impact that he had not only on the baseball program, the university, but the city, the community. Honoring someone like that is not an easy task. But I feel like the program and the weekend festivities surrounded it went well. I think the program did a very good job. I think they did well in honoring Tony Robichaux. I think the statue, which I have now personally seen up close, is phenomenal. I think it was very well done. I also enjoyed the gesture on Southeastern's part by wearing the green and gold caps with Robe's 36 on them, and also presenting Robe's wife at home plate with flowers and a cap of her own. All around, well done. A great weekend in regards to honoring Tony Robichaux. It's definitely not the end of an era, per se, but maybe the start of a grieving process that now includes actually moving on to some baseball. And that's the actual side of it that was not so great. The actual baseball side of it. Offensive woes were the backbreaker for the Cajuns starting off their 2020 campaign at home. 0-3. 3 straight losses to start out the 2020 year at home. You have a pitcher's duel opening Friday night when junior Connor Angel fared well in his first start for the Cajuns, lasting 5 2 innings, surrendering 1 earned run on 3 hits. He threw 89 pitches and tallied 7 strikeouts. It was impressive. He had an impressive outing. But a 3-run blast in the 5th inning after he came out put Southeastern on the board first. And the Cajuns just began to try to chip away at that lead. Nick Hagedorn's RBI ground double in the 6th inning. Justin Green's RBI ground out in the 7th. Jonathan Wyndham leads off the 9th inning with a single. But ultimately, the Cajuns fall short. They fall short and begin their season with a loss. Then you got Louisiana Tech coming in on Saturday. The Bulldogs coming to town. The Cajuns find themselves in another pitching battle. Will Moriarty has a solid outing, lasting 4 1 innings, 2 strikeouts. But again, the woes came from the offensive side of the program. The Cajuns were only able to produce one run on 1 hit, and that was a solo home run from Hayden Cantrell. 1 run on 1 hit. The Bats need to catch up with pitching. I know it's early. I know it was only 2 games in, but going into the third game, the rubber match of a three. I'm sorry, not a rubber match, but going into the third game of the weekend, opening weekend, you would think, all right, something's got to give. Something's got to give. Cajuns got to get their bats going. You got to score some runs, but they did just the opposite. The Cajuns then get throttled by Louisiana Tech 10-0 in the third game of the weekend. 7th inning of that game was not fun for the Cajuns, surrendering a grand slam, a 2-run triple, and a pair of singles. The offense just did not do its part with another one-hit contest. So on the weekend, total 7 hits, 3 runs for the Cajuns offense. So some impressive pitching, especially from some inexperienced college pitchers on the part of the Cajuns. But the offense just did not hold up its side of the bark. And it's gonna take a lot more offensive production for the Cajuns in the Sun Belt in Matt Day's first year to be successful. And that's what I want to talk about next. I want to jump into kind of a very shortened and a Sun Belt baseball preview for 2020. So just taking a look at the Sun Belt baseball going into the 2020 season, I still think that Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers, are the team to beat. Coastal finished atop the Eastern Division last year with a 36-26 overall record, 15-13 in Sun Belt play. Their Sun Belt Conference Championship was impressive with a 9-7 victory over the number 2 seed Georgia Southern. I do think that we could see multiple 2, if not 3, regional bids out of the Sun Belt this year. In the Sun Belt East, Coastal is going to have to defend against the likes of some strong clubs. Georgia Southern's not going anywhere. South Alabama is going to be a strong club. And a dark horse, maybe even Troy. Like 2019, I do not see one team in the East pulling away and gaining a huge lead over the course of the season. I think it's going to be a close race. The West, however, does not appear to be as wide open. I think it's going to come down to Texas, Arlington, and the Cajuns. I truly do. And I think that as of right now, Texas Arlington probably has the upper hand on the Cajuns just because of their bullpen. They have a more experienced bullpen. But looking at the Sun Belt, I'm predicting your play of the year is going to be a Cajun. And this is not me being a homer. I think Hayden Cantrell, shortstop for the Cajuns. He was drafted by the Yankees out of high school. He boasted a 309 average with the Cajuns last year, 9 home runs, 28 stolen bases. He is, in my opinion, the best major league prospect in the Sun Belt this year. And I think he's going to be the Sun Belt player of the year. He's one of the bright spots on the Cajuns lineup. He's Mr. Reliable. And I just think that he's going to have a phenomenal year. For pitcher of the year, I like Drake Nightingale, the right-handed pitcher from South Alabama. He was, if not the top pitcher in the Sun Belt last year, definitely towards the top. At definitely top 3, maybe even top 2. I feel like he was the best pitcher in the Sun Belt. 6-2 record, 3.52 ERA, 91 strikeouts over 71 in 2 innings. I mean, the kid's 6'1", 195 pounds, and he boasts a 4-pitch mix, and it is just great at getting outs in a pinch. I really think he's going to have a strong year and lead that South Alabama club and win. And then the incoming freshman of the year, I think you got to look at William Sullivan, the first baseman for Troy. Troy actually has 2 candidates that could take home the freshman of the year award. But I think that out of the better freshman class, Troy's got 2 of the strongest candidates out of that. The other fellow is the Troy infielder Kyle Mock. However, I do think Sullivan is coming off a strong senior season in the Orlando high school circuit. He's very big. He's very powerful. He's a left-handed hitter with impressive impact on the ball. And I think what's going to put him above the top of everyone else is the combination of his hitting and his stellar defense at first base. He's just as impressive. So we've talked about the Cajuns. We've talked about the Sun Belt. Let's talk about some Tiger baseball. LSU got off to a hot start with a 2-1 record over the weekend, taking both their Friday night and Saturday night game in a 3-game tilt versus Indiana. Both the offense and the pitching complemented each other over the course of the weekend. The offense wasted no time, and center fielder Daniel Cabrera led off that first inning of the Tigers game on Friday with a single. Second baseman Cade Dought capitalized on that single for the Tigers, sending an off-speed pitch over the left field wall, and it's Doughty's first home run of the 2020 season, obviously. Doughty is also the first player to hit a home run in his first career at bat since 2009 for the Tigers. LSU would then go on to push their lead 5-0 in the third inning when catcher Saul Garza sent a 3-run jack over the left field wall. The Tigers would eventually add 2 more runs on the evening to complement a very strong start for Cole Henry, who pitched 4 scoreless innings. So a nice start for the Tigers on Friday night to get their season started on the right foot at 1-0. Then on Saturday, first baseman Cade Beloso was the hero of that contest versus Indiana, going 3 for 4 at the plate, 2 doubles and an RBI. The Tigers went with catcher Alex Milazzo behind the plate for Game 2 of the season, which was kind of a surprise. But he posted 1 for 4 at the plate on the day with the bat, but brought in 3 runs with that hit. This game was definitely a team game, with the RBIs coming from 4 different batters and then 4 different pitchers combining to hold Indiana to 4 runs on the day. And the Tigers take the victory, going to win 7-4. So started out their season 2-0. Very good start. They did drop that third game of the weekend to Indiana 7-2 in the late game Saturday evening. They had a doubleheader on Saturday. The late game didn't go the way they wanted, dropping it 7-2. So the Tigers get a strong start to their season, their 2020 season. And with that, let's take a look at a little bit of SEC baseball preview for 2020. So they got off to a hot start, but the unfortunate thing for the Tigers in the SEC is that it is loaded with talent and experienced teams this year. There are 3 SEC teams ranked in the top 5, 7 teams in the top 11, and 9 teams in the top 25. In the East, I think the reigning national champions aren't going anywhere. Vanderbilt is still going to be the team to beat in the SEC. However, I think Florida and Georgia both have teams this year that can hang and make a run at the top seed. I do see Vanderbilt still taking that, though. I just don't think it's going to be as widespread as it was last year for that top seed. I think Florida and Georgia both are going to give them a run for their money. In the West, it's a little more open. It's kind of a toss-up for me right now between Mississippi State, Arkansas, LSU, and Auburn. I'm not being a homer, but in my mind right now, the Tigers of LSU are the favorite, and it's simply because of their pitching. Their pitching staff is very deep and very experienced, and that's going to help them win some very close games this season and improve on their 17-13 SEC record from a year ago. I think the biggest dark horse team in the SEC this year that can make a run would be Tennessee. The Volunteers returned to the NCAA tournament last year for the first time since 2005, and I definitely can see them continuing on that success here in 2020. I could see up to at least 10 SEC teams making it to regionals this year. For my play of the year, I like Austin Martin, the Vanderbilt infielder. Posted a 338 average in 2018 and a 387 average in 2019. Martin is widely considered to be the top major league prospect in college baseball. He is no slouch with his glove on the corner either. So I personally think SEC Player of the Year has got to be third baseman Austin Martin. For Pitcher of the Year, I like Emerson Hancock, the right-handed pitcher out of Georgia. He is also widely considered to be the top pitching prospect for the majors in college baseball. He did not begin his 2020 season well on Friday, though. Posted 4 innings, giving up 9 hits and 6 runs. I think maybe just some jitters, some nerves, but I do think he bounces back for a very strong 2020 campaign. Emerson Hancock, Pitcher of the Year. And then my incoming Freshman of the Year, I like Hunter Barco, the left-handed pitcher out of Florida. Florida's always been considered somewhat of a pitching farm for the majors, but they did have a down year in 2019, ranking 187th in the nation. I think that changes this year. I think they have a strong freshman class that's led by Hunter Barco. He does boast a four-pitch arsenal, including a 94-mile-an-hour fastball and a sweeping slider that he has both locked up right and left-handers at the high school level. So I think the Vanderbilt team is strong enough to win the SEC again. I do think there are some teams that are going to give them a run for their money, but it should be an exciting year for SEC baseball. Sure. Let's get into talking some football. Earlier this week, Drew Brees announcing he's going to return for his 20th NFL season. 41 years old, sparked a lot of conversation. There was some conversation going on before he decided to announce that he was going to return. Taysom Hill, Teddy Bridgewater, what's the future look like? But then Brees decides he's coming back. I've been intrigued the most by fans and talking heads saying that it's a mistake for the Saints to keep Brees and pay him a bunch of money anyway. I'm telling you right now, Drew Brees is still the best option the Saints have to have the most success and the best chance at reaching and winning a Super Bowl in 2020. That includes the likes of Tom Brady. I think there have been some stories out there, rumors obviously. Well, if Drew Brees doesn't come back, or if he comes back and wants too much money, you could pursue someone like Tom Brady, which is far-fetched. You could trade for someone like Matthew Stafford. Andy Dalton's going to be on the market. You bring Teddy back. You have Taysom that you could have as a franchise quarterback. I think there's no one right now better suited to bring the Saints back to the playoffs, win some playoff games, and reach the Super Bowl than Drew Brees. I've seen a lot of people saying, well, you need to take a team-friendly deal. I don't think people realize that he has taken a team-friendly deal. All right, his last contract was very team-friendly, and his willingness to sign a 2-year deal in his last contract and now most likely signing a 1-year deal is also very team-friendly. He could demand more than that. Have there been times in the past where Drew Brees did not have team-friendly deals? Absolutely. I was screaming from the mountaintop saying we're paying too much for a quarterback and unable to pay for defense players, etc. But to make that argument now about Drew Brees not taking team-friendly deals is just ridiculous. All right, his last deal was a 2-year, $50 million deal. $25 million a year, and at that time was about $10 million less than what the market dictated a starting quarterback should take, especially one as successful as Brees. Okay, so let me just remind everyone that $10 million doesn't maybe seem like a lot when talking about, well, $10 million doesn't seem very team friendly. That's a lot of money to leave on the table for a quarterback aging, not knowing how much longer he's going to be able to play or want to play. Okay? So, this past year alone, there were 6 quarterbacks making $30 million or more. You're talking about $10 million Drew Brees left on the table that he could have demanded and got, whether it be from the Saints, who most likely would have given it to him, or from another team. That is team friendly. Okay? If your definition of team friendly is different, then it's different. But in my opinion, that's team friendly. It allowed the Saints to pursue players like Jared Cook. It allowed the Saints to get a deal done for the best wide receiver in the NFL right now, Michael Thomas. Okay? And this next deal, I don't know if it's going to be as team friendly. I'm hoping that it is. But we have to remember that a 1-year deal for a quarterback who has no certainty in his future in the NFL, whether he wants to play beyond this year or not. I mean, we don't know if this is going to be Brees' last year. We're thinking that it is. I'm pretty sure that it is. But we don't know. There's no certainty. The man has made some money. And he set himself up outside the game of football to probably not have to worry about money. I say probably. The man's not going to have to worry about money for the rest of his life. All right? He's a smart businessman. but there's got to be some certainty there. So let's talk about his value, right? His value. Everybody's saying, well, he's washed up, right? He can't throw the ball down the field anymore. He can't make the long throw. He choked in the playoffs the last few years, whatever it should be. Let me remind you, all right? He played 11 games in 2009. 11. Missed 5 games that Teddy Bridgewater started and went 5-0. 11 games, 27 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, with basically only Michael Thomas to throw. Yes, Jared Cook came on towards the middle of the season, had a great season to finish it out, and I do expect Jared Cook to improve on the campaign that he put together as his first year in the Saints uniform. But Alvin Kamara wasn't himself. He got injured, and I think that he played through that injury for the remainder of the season. I think that he should have sat out longer than he did. So he wasn't himself all year. Where the heck was Traquan Smith most of the year? Ted Ginn is basically just a streaker down the field now. He doesn't have much left in his arsenal as a wide receiver. So basically 27 touchdowns, 4 interceptions with basically only Michael Thomas throws. And here and there, sprinkling some throws to Taysom Hill. The Saints have weapons. Don't get me wrong. Michael Thomas is the best wide receiver in the NFL. The best. You double team the guy and somehow he still gets open or catches the ball. But you cannot just disregard the fact that Drew Brees is still playing at a very high elite level. I told someone earlier about my opinion that Brees, if you gave me Tom Brady and you gave me Drew Brees right now, put him on the Saints, who's going to have more success? It's Drew Brees. It's Drew Brees. One, there's history there. The guy's been in the system forever, right? Forever. There's history there, okay? He and Sean Payton have a relationship. He's going to be more successful than Tom Brady in that regard. Tom Brady, I think, if you were to ask me who's going to have more success next season, no matter who they play for, because I think Drew Brees is going to play for the Saints. I think Tom Brady ultimately will return to the Patriots, but there's a chance that he could leave. There's a chance that he could be a Raider, and we'll talk about that in some future episodes of the podcast about where some of these quarterbacks are going to go, because free agency is coming up soon, the free agency signing period. But I think that the whole where there's smoke, there's fire thing with Tom Brady and the drama and the tension between him and Belichick and him and the Patriots front office, that's a real thing. That's a real thing. And I just think the situation that Brees is in right now is better than the situation that Tom Brady's in. All right? Has Brees played well in the playoffs the last few years? No. He's not. He did not play well this season. They should have left Taysom Hill in the game longer. That was working against Minnesota. He did not play well last year in overtime against the Rams. All right, say what you want. Yeah, it was a horrible call to not call pass interference this year and last year. A horrible call last year, but the Saints should have never been in that position. Never. He played well against Minnesota 3 years ago, but that was just a fluke Minnesota Miracle crap. But Drew Brees has not played well in the playoffs. Is he the same quarterback that he was when he came here in 2006? Absolutely not. He's not. He's not the same quarterback. All right? Father Time catches up with everyone, but he's still playing at an elite level. He is still at least top 5, maybe top 3 quarterbacks in the league right now. All right? So let's talk about what's going to happen going forward, right? Because I think right now, in the past, the whole situation was, why would you take the ball out of league MVP status, league MVP caliber, first ballot Hall of Famer? Why would you take the ball out of Drew Brees' hand? Don't run any gimmick plays. Let Drew Brees methodically move up and down the field like a surgeon, right? that has changed. We've seen it morph into something with Taysom Hill and Teddy Bridgewater, but more so with Taysom Hill over the last couple of years, especially last year. The guy's a stud. Taysom Hill's a stud. He is very athletic, very fast for his size and his demeanor. The guy's a stud. I do not feel like he is ready yet to be a franchise quarterback. I do feel, however, that the best fit for 2020 is to have both Brees and Hill playing quarterback. I truly do. And that changes the dynamic. That's a different dynamic when Taysom Hill's a number 2. We saw that when Teddy Bridgewater was in the game. They did not use Taysom Hill as much in other positions, at tight end, blocking, on special teams. They didn't use him as much because they feared that he would get injured, because he was then the number 2. And I'll talk about that in a second, but I do think that the best fit going forward for 2020 is, and I'm hesitant to use the term quarterback share, a 2 quarterback system. I don't think that's technically that's what it is, but in retrospect, I don't think that's what it is, because I think you're going to see 80-20 Drew Brees to Taysom Hill. Okay, I do think this upcoming year is important. All right, this upcoming year is important, and I'm going to talk about Drew Brees' potential contract here coming up in a second. But I think the value we're going to get out of this future contract for Drew Brees is going to not only depend on the success and the outcome of the season, but it's going to depend on how Taysom Hill comes out of the season. What kind of season, what kind of production does he show? Does he show that he makes progress throughout the season towards being the quarterback of the future? Because not only is Brees a value under center, but he's a value in the quarterback. All right, we've seen Taysom Hill already make progress towards becoming more of a NFL quarterback just by being around Teddy Bridgewater, just by being around Drew Brees and Sean Payton, and Michael Lombardi, the quarterback coach. All right, he said it himself in interviews around Super Bowl week, how being in that quarterback room has helped him become more of an NFL quarterback. Have the Saints been using him as one? More and more every week, absolutely. I, however, don't think he's absolutely ready right now. And we'll talk about that some more here in a second. I want to get into the contract for Drew Brees. What could we be looking at? What kind of impact does he have on the Saints' current cap situation? Because we have a lot of free agents. The Saints have a lot of free agents this year, next year, they're going to have to take care of. And it can have a huge impact. Now, Mickey Loomis in the past has been criticized about how he does cap management. I think the man is a mastermind. I think he's a surgeon with it. I truly do. But I think that we could see Mickey Loomis put together a contract that is team favorable in a way for the future. Okay, hopefully the impending contract is also team favorable for this year financially. I do not see that happening. I think Drew Brees is going to make some money going out, whether he goes out on top or not. Financially, I think he's going to make some money. All right, so let's take a look at his last contract. A 2-year, $50 million contract signed before the 2018 season. It had a team option for 2019, which they picked up. Okay, his base salary was $6.8 million last season. A $10.5 million signing bonus. They restructured that contract to push $5.4 million to 2019 and $5.4 million to 2020. That's the kicking the can down the road method, right? Every time you take a contract and restructure it, so you take money that is supposed to be base salary money and turn it into a bonus, you're able to take that bonus and basically split it up over a certain amount of years towards your cap. All right? That's how they restructure these things to push money down the road and make more cap space now. All right? However, we've done that so many times with Drew Brees, and most of his contracts have been backloaded on the back end, loaded with cap, that we're now coming up to it's almost time to pay the piper. All right? So we're going to do this one more time with him, right? We're going to do this one more time with him. Whatever contract is signed, the cap hit, if Drew Brees would have retired, his current cap hit for 2020 would have been $21.3 million. And he wouldn't have even been on the team. That's from kicking the can down the road. We're going to do it one more time. However, under the new CBA agreement, the current CBA agreement, because they're negotiating a new one right now. Under the current CBA agreement, all right, since he's a free agent, that $21 million cannot be kicked down the road. It cannot be restructured. That's dead money. So that $21 million stays for this year. Whatever contract is signed for 2020 will be in addition to that $21 million. It's going to cost a lot of money this year to keep Drew Brees on the roster. Now, can this new contract be manipulated so that we push it down the road some more? And when he's not on the Saints roster, we're still paying for him? Absolutely. It's what we've been doing this whole time. It's what Mickey Loomis has been doing this whole time. All right. What I project is I think Drew Brees is going to get 30 to 35 million per year. I think it's going to be a 2-year contract with a team option on the second year. It could be a 1-year contract. All right. So when everyone's anticipating, I, however, envision it financially makes more sense for the Saints to offer him a 2-year contract with a team option for the second. Doesn't play next year, they find the option. He decides to retire, it's fine. The second year will basically just be a way to lower his cap hit for the upcoming season and still be able to hold on to some of the free agent players that the Saints did resign. Hold on to Von Bell. Hold on to David Onyemata. All right? Make it financially friendly now. Why not? What have you got to lose right now? What have you got to lose right now? Okay? It's pretty simple. I envision his impending contract to be very similar to the contract he signed in 2018. Again, that deal paid out $25 million per year. At the time, that was about 14% of the salary cap that the Saints had. Assuming that he makes about the same demand in 2020, that would be a contract worth right at $28 to $30 million per season. That's about his contract in 2018 had 54% guaranteed. So 54% of the $50 million was guaranteed. I anticipate it to be about the same. I think he'll get about 50% guaranteed. All right. So that qualifies in my mind as 2-year, $55 million contract with about $30 million, somewhere around there. That contract would put his 2020 salary cap hit at $31 million. $31 million. That requires a lot of creative accounting by the Saints. There are 4 other quarterbacks currently counting for $30 million or more against their cap in 2020. Jared Goff in Los Angeles at $36 million. Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh at $33 million. Russell Wilson in Seattle at $31 million. Kirk Cousins in Minnesota also at $31 million. Maybe they'll look out and Brees will accept an even lower salary than last time, closer to $20 million per year. I don't see it happen. But again, I think the value of the contract, no matter what he makes, is going to be dependent on the outcome of the season, obviously. Do they win a Super Bowl? That's the ultimate goal. Make it to the playoffs, losing the divisional round, losing the NFC Championship. That's not success to me. We've done that now for 3 straight years. It's Super Bowl or bust. All right? So the value of his contract will be, did they win a Super Bowl? And did Taysom Hill get groomed enough to move forward as a franchise quarterback? Keeping in mind that the value of his contract this year also impacts next year and the years after, but next year is a big year. You got players like Marshawn Lattimore, Alvin Kamara. Both need big contracts. And that cap space, that cap hit for Michael Thomas is only going to grow every year because his contract was backloaded as well. So we saw the Saints get themselves into some trouble towards the beginning of the Peyton and Brees tenure here, when they were trying to build these teams, throwing money at players. The evaluation of players was not well. They did not draft well, and it took some free agents to get in here to have any type of success. The 2009 Super Bowl had a lot of free agent signings on it. One of the bigger ones, Darren Sharper. All right. It took some success in free agency, but that takes money. The success the Saints have had the last 3-4 years have come from great drafts. Since Jeff Ireland has been in the building, we've had some great drafts. We found some great talent in the draft. But it's time to pay those players. Their rookie contracts are coming to an end. And at the same time, you're paying players like Drew Brees, paying players like Michael Thomas these enormous contracts. And you have to. That's what they're valued at in the job that they do. So moving forward, we got to talk about who's the backup. Who's the backup after 2020, after 2021, when Brees is no longer under center for the team? Look, I'll say it again. I think Taysom Hill can be a franchise quarterback at some point. People want to compare him to Lamar Jackson. People want to compare him to, I've heard someone comparing him to Michael Vick. That's not even a close comparison. I don't think Lamar Jackson is a close comparison to him. They're two different players. Yeah, they both can run and pass. They're dual threat quarterbacks, but they're just so different. They're just so different. However, I do think that Taysom Hill has the potential to be a very successful franchise quarterback for an NFL team. I just don't think we're there yet. I don't think we're there yet. Okay? Don't think we're there yet. There's some, is there a possibility the Saints bring back all three? Teddy Bridgewater, Taysom Hill, Drew Brees. It's very slim. It's not possible. It's going to take some extremely creative count. But it's very slim. Teddy Bridgewater is going to demand upwards of $30 to $35 million, the same as Drew Brees, the same as 6 other quarterbacks in the league. Jameis Winston saying he wants $30 million. I don't see that happening, but Teddy Bridgewater is going to get it. And like I said earlier, we're going to talk about in an upcoming podcast about where I think some of these quarterbacks are going to go. But I got a feeling that the whole Tom Brady in New England thing is going to come to an impasse, and Teddy Bridgewater is going to end up with a fate. But we'll talk about that soon. But the possibility of all three coming back is very slim. Teddy Bridgewater is going to take a deal with someone else to be a starting quarterback where he could be successful. You got the Chargers out there, you got the Bears out there, you got the Dolphins out there. I think it's time for him to move on. I hate to say it. Had Drew Brees retired, I'd be vouching for Teddy Bridgewater to be the starter in 2020 and beyond, louder than anyone else. But that's just not the way it's working out. So, moving forward with Taysom Hill as a franchise quarterback in the future, it can work. Who knows what's going to happen? But it can work. Sean Payton's already said, well, the Brees' successor is already in the building. People always thought he was talking about Teddy Bridgewater. I think he was talking about Taysom Hill. Both Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill were both quoted Super Bowl week as understanding that this is a business. They want to be started. Okay? Then Taysom Hill, after Brees decides that he's returning, Taysom Hill comes out and says, well, I'll back up Brees as long as I can. He wants to be a starter, but he understands he wants to be in New Orleans. He wants to back up Brees as long as he can. All right? Teddy's going to be a starter next. He was the highest paid backup quarterback in the league last year at $7.25 million. It's time for him again to be the leader. Sad on my part that it's not the same. I'm happy Drew Brees is coming back. In a perfect world, we would have won a Super Bowl last year. Drew Brees would have retired. Teddy Bridgewater, Taysom Hill would both come back, and we would move on. But that's not the way things worked out, and that's fine. Who's to say we can't have some fairy tale ending to the upcoming season, where Taysom Hill takes over the reins after Drew Brees wins the Super Bowl and retires? I think Taysom Hill has shown the toughness, the athleticism, to be a quality weapon at quarterback going forward. Just not as a franchise quarterback on his own in 2020. Everything they run with him is based off of play action. It's based off of down the field throws. We have not seen the kid drop back in the pocket and make throws down the field. We haven't seen him run a 2-minute offense yet to come back and win a game. I just don't think he's ready yet. I don't think he's ready. Can he be successful for an entire season as the guy, face of a franchise? Sure, not in 20. Marketing-wise, absolutely. A gold mine. Can he win 13 games on an NFL level and go 13-3? Not yet. Not yet. Taysom Hill's career stat: 6 of 13, 119 yards, 1 touchdown. Longest pass of his career, 44 yards. That's a quarterback rating of 46.6. That's abysmal. But it's a small sample size. That's a problem. 120 yards in his career as a quarterback. 120 yards. In preseason game 4 of the 2019 season, he looked very good. Took over from Bridgewater in the second half, completing 13 of 17 passes, 100 yards, 1 touchdown, and he rushed for 35 yards in 2 quarters of football. But that's playing against the Miami Dolphins, second and third string, in the second half of a game 4 in the preseason. Now it's the NFL. Everybody's getting paid to play. But I just don't think there's enough tape. There's enough experience there to say, well, hey, look, Drew Brees goes down, we can rely on Taysom. Because if that were the case when Drew Brees went down early in the 2019 season, it'd have been him under center and not Teddy Bridgewater. All right? 2021 and beyond? Yeah, probably. If this season goes the way that I'm hoping that it's going to go. If Drew Brees and Sean Payton and Michael Lombardi, the quarterback's coach, can continue to develop Taysom Hill as a quarterback. Okay? I think we have one of the best, if not the best, offensive play callers in the league. Okay? To devise a plan around the quarterback that he has, around the players that he has, putting the players in the best situation. Sean Payton is a genius. So can there be some success there? Absolutely. Sean Payton was quoted Super Bowl week as saying Taysom Hill would be a starter in the NFL sooner than later. I think currently with the experience, how they value Taysom Hill, it's a smokescreen. I think it's a smokescreen. Does Payton actually believe this? Yeah, I think so. But I think it's more along the lines of what I believe. I don't think Payton believes Taysom Hill is ready to be a quarterback. I think it's a smoke. Because if there are going to be some teams that come after him, Payton wants to kind of put it out there. Well, he could start for us today. He could start for us today and be the franchise quarterback. Face of the franchise. Kind of boost him up a little bit, right? Give him a great reputation. Teams come after him. We slap a restricted tag on him, a tender on him, and we get some draft picks in return in the event that he does leave. Do I think we let him out the door? No. Unless it's some absurd number, somebody offers him $20 million a year, I think he's coming back in the black and gold. Again, I think he can be a start. I think he can be a starter. Successful, just not this year. I think another year under Brees as the number 2 in an offense more tailored to a 2-quarterback system, and I say that with a grain of salt, but a 2-quarterback system where Taysom is more featured alongside of Brees. Let him throw more. Let him run more, get more experience. It'll do wonders for him as a starter going forward. I do think 2020 is Brees' last year, no matter the outcome. And that Taysom can be the starter going on after that. But it depends on how this year goes. Either way, I think you hit Taysom Hill with a first-round tender as a registry agent. What that means is if another team comes along, offers him a contract, no matter the value of that contract, no matter the terms of the contract, if another team comes along, offers him a free agent contract, and he signs that contract, the Saints have a certain amount of time to either match the contract or let him go. And when I say let him go, I don't mean release him. I'm saying let him go to the new team that has signed him to a restricted contract. But the first round tender means that in 2020, whatever team signs him to that, and the Saints decide not to match, the Saints would then receive the first round draft pick of said team. Some teams offers him starter $25 million a year money. Let him go. Let him take it, get a first round pick in return. If not, I'm thinking he's going to get in the $7 to $10 million. Match the contract and keep him. Match the contract and keep him. You're not going to be able to keep all three. It just doesn't make any financial sense. I wish it would, but it doesn't. It also doesn't make sense in the locker room. You're creating a quarterback controversy with Bridgewater and Taysom Hill going forward. They both want to be starters. Yeah, you could have a quarterback competition, but Brees is still in the building. So neither of them would know, hey, going forward, this is my job. It's mine to lose, basically. I think you create something bigger there that is harder to overcome. The Saints have had a toxic environment in their locker room before. Started trading away some players like Kenny Stills, Junior Gillette, got rid of him. They've had a toxic environment before and had to basically kind of start all over. You don't need that again. Somebody gives him a decent contract, match him, keep him, let Brees groom him for another year, and move forward with him as a 2021 starter, because I do think Brees is going to retire. In some of the upcoming episodes, we're going to talk about, we're obviously going to review some more baseball, some more basketball. We're going to talk about the first half of the Pelicans season, some Zion Williams, some talk. We're going to move on and kind of preview some Major League Baseball, talk about the Astros upcoming season and their scandal, talk about the Braves upcoming season and their new contract that they just gave to their manager, Brian Snitker. Next week, we're going to talk some Major League Baseball. We're going to talk some Cajun softball, talk a little bit more baseball, and then pretty soon we'll be right back into football season because free agency starts in March. That's not far from here. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our first episode. Hopefully we can continue this and continue to make it better and better. This is the American Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Beedee. Everyone have a great weekend.